Welcome to Read a Book in 7 Minutes. Today's book, a modern classic, Atomic Habits by James Clear. But today, we're stretching beyond 7 minutes. Because Atomic Habits by James Clear is just too good to rush. If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or inconsistent, this book is your blueprint to lasting change. We're not talking motivation, we're talking transformation. One small habit at a time. The core philosophy of Atomic Habits revolves around a simple idea. Minuscule changes, when consistently applied, yield enormous results over time. It's easy to dismiss the impact of a 1% improvement or decline in any given day. This perspective misses the profound power of compounding. Think of it like financial interest. A small sum of money earning a modest interest rate doesn't seem to grow much at first. But over years, the accumulated interest begins to earn interest on itself, leading to exponential growth. Habits, both good and bad, operate on this very same principle of compounding. Improving by just 1% each day means that by the end of a year, you'll be nearly 37 times better than when you started. Conversely, the same compounding effect works against us with our detrimental habits. The daily choices we make are like votes, casting a ballot for the type of person we are becoming. True, sustainable progress is rarely born from dramatic events. Instead, it's the product of unglamorous daily dedication to small, repeatable actions. The magic isn't in attempting to do extraordinary things occasionally, but in the discipline of doing ordinary things with extraordinary consistency. For decades, we've been conditioned to believe that setting ambitious goals is the cornerstone of success. While having a clear direction is important, an overemphasis on goals can be misleading. Consider this. Both winners and losers in any field often share the exact same goals. The crucial distinction lies not in the goals themselves, but in the systems that individuals implement to make progress towards those goals. A goal is a desired outcome. A system is the collection of daily habits, routines, and processes that you follow. Goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. The problem with a purely goal-oriented mindset is multifaceted. Goals are often temporary. Once you achieve a goal, the motivation that drove you can dissipate. A systems-based approach allows you to find satisfaction in the process itself, regardless of immediate outcomes. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Instead of obsessing over outcomes, fall in love with the process. Your commitment to the process is what ultimately determines your progress. When most people decide they want to change something in their lives, they typically focus on the outcomes they desire. These are outcome-based goals, focused on what you want to get. True transformation begins not by chasing a different result, but by cultivating a different sense of self. It's not about what you want to achieve, it's about who you wish to become. Consider 3 layers of behavior change: outcomes, processes, and identity. The most effective approach is to start from the inside out, focusing on the who. When your habits are aligned with your desired identity, they feel more natural and sustainable. Each action you take becomes a small vote for the type of person you want to be. Conversely, if you try to adopt habits that contradict your underlying identity, you'll constantly feel like you're swimming upstream. Therefore, the real goal is not behavior change in isolation, but identity change. Your habits are how you embody a particular identity. Ask yourself not just what you want to achieve, but who you want to become. At the heart of every habit lies a simple neurological loop that governs its formation and execution. This 4-step pattern is the backbone of every habit: cue, craving, response, and reward. The first stage is the cue, a trigger that predicts a reward. In modern life, cues can be anything from the notification sound on your phone to the smell of coffee brewing. Following the cue is the craving, the motivational force behind every habit. The craving is not for the habit itself, but for the change in state that the habit delivers. The third stage is the response, the actual habit you perform. Whether a response occurs depends on how motivated you are and how much friction is associated with the behavior. Finally, the 4th stage is the reward, the end goal of every habit. The reward satisfies the craving and teaches your brain which actions are worth remembering and repeating. This cue craving response reward framework is constantly running in the background of our lives. By understanding these 4 distinct stages, we gain a clear roadmap for intervention. To build a good habit, make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the response easy, and the reward satisfying. This understanding paves the way for the 4 laws of behavior change. By dissecting this loop, we can learn how to build better habits and break detrimental ones. The 4 laws of behavior change provide a simple, actionable framework for designing better habits. The first law is, make it obvious. This law targets the cue. If a habit isn't obvious, it's unlikely to be initiated. You can make cues for good habits more prominent in your environment. The second law is, make it attractive. This law addresses the craving. We are more likely to repeat behaviors that we find appealing. One way to make a habit more attractive is through temptation bundling. The third law is, make it easy. This law focuses on the response. To build a new habit, reduce the friction associated with it as much as possible. The fourth law is, make it satisfying. This law targets the reward. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. Just as the 4 laws of behavior change provide a roadmap for building good habits, their inversion offers a strategy for dismantling bad ones. The first step in breaking a bad habit is the inversion of the first law, make it invisible. This targets the cue. If you reduce your exposure to the cues that trigger a bad habit, you're less likely to initiate it. Next, we invert the second law, make it unattractive. This addresses the craving. To make a bad habit unattractive, reframe your mindset and highlight the negative consequences. The third inversion is of the third law, make it difficult. This targets the response. By intentionally adding friction and increasing the effort required to perform a bad habit, you make it less likely to occur. Finally, we invert the fourth law, make it unsatisfying. This focuses on the reward. If a behavior is followed by an immediate unpleasant experience, you're less likely to repeat it. Applying these inversions systematically can help you dismantle even deeply ingrained bad habits. Habits are decisions made easier by your environment and mindset. By reshaping these, you reshape your actions. Building new habits doesn't always require starting from scratch or summoning immense willpower. 2 effective strategies for integrating new behaviors are habit stacking and environment design. Habit stacking involves linking a new habit with an existing one. The formula is, after current habit, I will new habit. For example, after I pour my morning cup of coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. The beauty of habit stacking lies in its ability to piggyback on established neural pathways. Complementary to habit stacking is environment design. Your surroundings exert a profound influence on your behavior. If your environment is cluttered with cues for unproductive habits, you're constantly fighting an uphill battle. Conversely, if you design your environment to make good habits the path of least resistance, you set yourself up for success. Each small change in your environment can act as a powerful nudge towards better choices. By consciously curating your routines and surroundings, you can engineer a life where positive habits are not just possible, but probable. One of the most common reasons people abandon their efforts to build new habits is the frustrating experience of not seeing immediate results. This period of apparent stagnation is what I call the plateau of latent potential. Imagine trying to melt an ice cube. You place it in a room and begin to raise the temperature. The room goes from 25 degrees Fahrenheit to 31 degrees, but the ice cube remains solid. Then the temperature hits 32 degrees and the ice begins to melt. This is how progress often unfolds with our habits. The most meaningful outcomes are often delayed. The challenge during this plateau is to maintain faith in the process. Understanding the plateau of latent potential helps to reframe these periods of apparent non-progress. Instead of seeing them as failures, recognize them as necessary incubation phases. Trust that your consistent actions are making a difference even if you can't see it yet. As we draw our exploration of atomic habits to a close, remember that the principles we've discussed are about doing what truly matters. The journey of habit formation is about architecting sustainable systems. Motivation is fleeting, it comes and goes like the weather. By focusing on creating robust systems, you build a foundation that supports progress even on days when motivation wanes. The power of atomic habits lies in their subtlety and consistency. Focus on those 1% improvements that, when compounded over time, lead to remarkable transformations. This approach is about aligning your daily actions with the person you wish to become. Every habit you cultivate is a vote for that future self. The key is not to seek perfection, but to embrace progress. Atomic Habits offers a framework for taking control of your trajectory. Start small, be kind to yourself, and focus on the process. The power to reshape your life resides in the small choices you make today. So, we've journeyed through the core ideas of Atomic Habits. Remember, the path to remarkable results is paved with small, consistent actions. It's not about achieving perfection overnight, but about committing to a process of getting 1% better each day. The real takeaway here is that you have the power to design your habits, and in doing so, design your life. Focus on building better systems rather than just chasing goals. Cultivate an identity that supports your aspirations. Make your good habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Don't wait for the right moment or a sudden burst of motivation. Pick one tiny habit, one atomic change, and implement it. The power to change is within you, in the quiet consistency of your daily choices.